Good morning. It is Final Fantasy week. My wife says these feel like they're once a month. They are not once a month. It is two for every 3.5 month cycles. But they do feel back to back, and they always feel like we're talking about the next one. It is time for the next letter from the producer live, the first one of Final Fantasy XIV's Endwalker. This one is going to be different than ones have been in the past. It will take place on February 18th at 6 p.m. PST. We will be live on Twitch covering it. This time around, I think it'll just be me. Brian will be there later that evening, so he'll probably catch the tail end of it, and then I will catch him up on the summary, and then we'll react if he's able. That is, I believe, the plan. If not, I will cover the whole thing. So that means that the long-winded version over on Work to Game will be me. The short version over on Gaming Kinda will be me. And if it is extremely long on the amount of information, the extra short version will also be on Gaming Kinda. That will be me. And we'll be covering it live here on Twitch. So there will be lots of ways to watch, lots of ways to kind of catch this as it trickles out over the weekend. The Final Fantasy live letter, these typically break into two parts. We get a first part that kind of gives an overview of the upcoming patch. The second part takes detailed looks at some parts of that. Each live letter also has two parts. There's two parts for the two parts. And the first half is where they talk about the patch. The second half is usually like either an interview or a Q&A, or they have a collab where they have the creators of Yorha are on with them or something like that. And then there's kind of a third part where they kind of QVC it up, and there's all sorts of buy our stuff. And so there's a bit of merch rollout. But, we stay for that part as much as we can, because that part is also where they trickle out things like upcoming dates on the next live letter and things like that. So every once in a while in that 2 or 3 hours of listening to them saying, can you send us pictures of your ears? We get really good information in there that is absolutely pivotal as well. These are traditionally in Japanese only. They are live translated by the Final Fantasy XIV Reddit community over on their Discord. However, sometimes they do include live translation. When they include live translation, we of course include links to go watch it over on the Final Fantasy XIV official Twitch page and or YouTube page. If you'd rather just listen to it there, the times in between, we feel that we can talk over them because we are speaking to an audience that predominantly does not speak any Japanese, and so we just kind of read their translations and react in real time, and so that is how we have covered these in the past. For any of you who do speak Japanese, keep in mind the FanFest 2021 Naoki's Room archive is going away. It did just go away, excuse me. So kind of keep in mind that when these things get posted, they are kind of in that moment. So just as a general reminder. From there, I would like to make a quick announcement to anybody that is using the Steam version of the game. The Steam version of the game has always kind of been in a weird in-between space. And they are going through, yet again, a bit of a little transition here where your service account status in the Steam menu is going to need to be kind of rehandled to have a Steam notation. And that means that early next month, users who log in with a Steam version will be prompted to do a one-time link to your Steam account information. From then on, the Square Enix account and your Steam account will need to match. And that will give you the ability to launch the game again. It's a one-time thing, but you will need to have... you will need to go ahead and match this up one time in March. And then after that, you're all set. I have heard that one of the handful of times that they're willing to transfer licenses off of accounts are for Steam people who no longer have access to that Steam account, but you have to go through a whole process to deal with that. So for any of you that are freaking out, well, I don't have that, if your Steam account no longer has a Final Fantasy XIV license and you no longer have access to the Steam account that has your license, contact them for assistance. Hopefully this is no big deal. This is the one downside to the Steam version. I know there's people who like to use the Steam wallet to pay for things. I know there's people that like to just have all their games in one place. But Steam does add a layer of complexity that none of the other platforms add. It always is just a little bit different. You'd think PlayStation would be very comparable. It's not. Like, the Steam version is always just a little more complicated. From there, it is time to talk about seasonal events. We have been pairing them back to back to back, basically. It is time for our Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day is running right now from February 8th through the 21st. So enjoy that. Maybe during the live letter, if you haven't done it, it could be worth doing. Remember that seasonal events in this game come with one-time cosmetics, and if you miss those cosmetics, because they are unique events each and every time, if you miss those cosmetics, then they actually become available through the store the following year of that seasonal event. And so go ahead and hop in there. Sometimes they're really fun. Sometimes they're 10 minutes. Sometimes they're an hour. They can really vary. I haven't done this one yet, so I can't give you a hint on that yet. And then, last of all, just like their live letters, we will end by pushing merch. This is celebrating the Oceanic Data Center. They have a bunch of stuff on sale. The notable items for me are the Cruise Chaser mount, the Lunar Whale mount, and these lovely little lightsaber cheer 'em in things. But there's a number of them over there for sale on the store. There's a whole host of things that are off by varying amounts. So I encourage you to go take a look. They've got a number of mounts on there, so if there's anything that you've always wanted and you haven't been able to justify, maybe that's it. For any of you that have not been able to justify the cost, when they gave out free subscription time, those of you that said you didn't want it, this would be an opportunity to give them that money back and say, hey, you gave me credit to my account, it saved me on my subscription, I would have rather support the game during that time. Go find something, roughly equivalent of that subscription time for you. And thank them if that's important to you. If you want to pass on this is why they are called optional items. And that's the news for this week. I will see you guys on Friday.